Good blessed evening. Today happened to be Wednesday, June the 24th, 2020. Time of the vision, time to change, time to do history, trying to check your history so you won't let it repeat itself. It's about 1:40 p.m. I'm here in Charleston, Missouri. This is the one of the city parks here. Down there by the trees, the farther down, that's why I go and feed the geese every now and then. But I want people that don't have closed minds. I want you to Google this here up, the first steps into the Louisiana Purchase. Look what year it was purchased. Look at these names. And when you look and see who they purchased it from, I believe it was from the French. And it was probably purchased for a little bit of nothing. But in 1973, the Louisiana Purchase, what they purchased, was worth over $51 billion. Today, it's worth over $250 billion. But I want you to Google it up. Take a look. Some of the states that was purchased. You see this year's. See that year 1803. We know what was going on. Those of us that's conscious and care, we know what was going on in 1803. We know in 1863, January the 1st, we know what Abraham Lincoln did. And we know when he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, still in the state of Texas, 2 years and some months later, that's where Juneteenth came from. Let me see if we could see something here with Charleston, Missouri. This is another thing I want you to pay close attention to. You see where it says 1903, the county courthouse, which burned down. You see where it was at? In Charleston, Missouri. In 1903, the courthouse, which was burned down, it was built in 1903, but in 1997, it mysteriously burned down. I was down here. It burned down, they said. It's a new courthouse now. You know why it burned down? Because they didn't have the computers and stuff. It's so much corruption, so much wrong that they did in this town, especially to blacks. Non-compliance blacks. When I said non-compliance to this corruption, that's how it burnt down. That's why when I reveal stuff like this, that's why you'll see on my YouTube videos people saying they got a tree with my name on it. You know, or I should have grew up in the 1960s in Arkansas. If you look up the Louisiana Purchase, you'll see all them states that was involved. Now this is 2020. You know what? If people in other states was down here, what they'll be doing? They'll be probably tearing this stuff down. You know why? Because look what they doing to them statues of them Confederate generals in different states. They getting rid of racism. You see, you check this here out. You would think 1863 was some years ago, a couple of centuries ago. But this still up here. You know why it's up here? Because this what still happens here in Charleston, Missouri. Let's see what we have here. This is the map of the Louisiana Purchase in 1863. You have to do some history on it. It's too much to show. You see when this was dedicated here in Charleston, Missouri? November the 16th, 2003. You see, I didn't experience it. Other people that experienced it, it's their prerogative if they don't want to say nothing about it. You see what I'm saying? We have people that has all different type of missions. Some missions is to feed the children. Some missions is to help the homeless. But some missions is to reveal this type of stuff. Do you notice that Raymond Lewis Ivy in Charleston, Missouri is the only one being attacked? The only one that the law here in Mississippi County, the old courthouse burnt down in 1997. I came down here in 1996, May the 3rd. Been fighting racism ever since. Do you know in 2000, year 2000, a white guy threatened me on the place where I worked at because his Mexican female friend was talking to me, and he called her and she didn't come because she said, I'm talking to Raymond. And you know what he did? He told me, it's all your fault that me and her not talking right now. And I didn't even respond because there's nothing that I did. I'm just looking at these 3 flags. The one in the center, I can see why some people don't bow down to it. I respect people when they stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance, but I don't tell my daughters and them to quote it because it's not equal justice here in the United States for everybody. I'm not gonna tell them to disrespect the flag or burn it, but when they start having justice for all people, then I can honor putting my hand on my heart and saying the Pledge of Allegiance. But let me tell you what they did with this guy. I called the police because at the time, blacks in the year 2000, and people in Charleston, Missouri know what I'm talking about. In the year 2000, 5 blacks in this area in southeast Missouri, what they call the Boot Hill, and everybody knows it's one of the most prejudiced places it is. Not saying all white folks is prejudiced, but it's one of the most prejudiced places it is. 5 black guys was found dead, one in the grain bin. Who have grain bins? You don't have too many black farmers with grain bins. Some of them found in trenches and ditches. And this man told me to come over there where he was, that he was gonna put a bullet in my head and they were gonna find me in a ditch. You know what they did when I called the police? This was in 2000, y'all. I called the police. The police sergeant came. The guy had left. The Mexican girl gave him every bit of his information. She had his social security number and everything because they lived together once upon a time. Eventually he came and turned himself in. And let me show you now, that was a hate crime. Yeah, he called me the N-word too. That was a hate crime. A verbal assault, a threat. And then this what they did, y'all. They never told me about no court date or nothing. And then I found out some years later when I went to go do some research, they let him plead guilty to something that had nothing to do with him threatening me and calling me the N-word and said that he gonna put a bullet in my head. They let him plead guilty to trespassing. Trespassing had nothing to do with it because he wasn't trespassing. I worked at that Pilot truck stop at the time, where the new McDonald's is on Highway 105 here in Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County. And he worked it in the garage for the guy who was fixing on the 18-wheeler trucks. So he wasn't trespassing. And guess what his fine was? $50. You see, and you look at the history of things that done happened to me. You see, I'm the only one to ever get charged and happen to bond out. Everybody else get a summons. But what I'm trying to show y'all is, especially black folks, don't let these racist white individuals or some of these blacks that don't like me, don't let them encourage you to come to do anything to me, because at this point now, you know, even though I'm talking about unity, I won't accept nothing else. I won't dial 911 because I know what 911 is on the Louisiana Purchase here in Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County. And they got a little, you know, scratch in other parts. You see, anytime a white bus driver do something to my 5-year-old daughter in the school, in the Charleston Police Department, resource officer for the Charleston R1 school district, don't question him, but try to question my daughter without my permission and try to make my daughter say that this man was trying to help him. This man wasn't trying to help her. She's seen a psychologist for 8 years. You see what I'm saying? My children went through so much with these racist white people down here, and if you ain't a part of it, don't let it bother you, but went through so much down here to them coming in my house because people, when I complain about stuff, they even send somebody over to try to threaten me so I can do something, like this big, fat, racist white female next door to me started getting on my page, talking mess, telling me to come over to her house. I ain't gonna come over your house, but you can come over to mine, and you can believe I'll lay your fat behind down. All 400 pounds. All 400 pounds. If you look and listen to what she been saying on there, she studied trying to start mess and bringing black families in it. But let me tell y'all, it's a problem down here, but me and my family and friends, we gonna address it. We gonna keep on addressing it until the right federal authorities start from the courthouse, Charleston, Missouri, Mississippi County, 33rd Circuit, to the police department, to the sheriff, the present sheriff department, to the Mississippi County, Charleston, Missouri City Hall, and some of these other individuals. It's big time racism going on. Just because other people don't address it, I'm gonna keep on addressing it, because my children and my family have suffered from these people, what I'm showing you now. If you look all around this nation, even around this country, people is standing in front of police stations, city halls. Some of these racist police is standing in front of their houses. Just because they ain't doing it, I'm gonna do it on my YouTube, and I don't care who don't like it. You see what I'm saying? I still pray for peace in the black community, but no matter how much peace you have in the black community, long as you keep on letting these racist white folks that's running this town do wrong to one, they're gonna eventually do it to you. All you got to do is, y'all of you blacks that worked for the Susanna Wesley Family Learning Center, look what they done. I ain't through yet, but y'all do some Googling up on this here. You know, I don't care who said this is racism. This is racism, what I'm showing right now. Look at all the states that was purchased, y'all. Take a good look. Peace be still.